Very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'm Sneha Koshi and you're watching Beyond the Headline. Amid all the public glare, scrutiny on violence and harassment by a spouse, particularly in the lead up to divorce, alimony as an offset of a very numbing case of Atul Subhash, a 34-year-old who died by suicide, leaving behind a heart-wrenching suicide note and video accusing his wife and her family, opening a can of worms over the battle for alimony, maintenance and divorce. In a big exclusive to the Times Network at the IAC conclave, former Chief Justice of India Chandrachud has made a hugely important statement that calls for not just judicial introspection but possibly urgent reforms. DY Chandrachud has said, and I quote him, "I don't think the judicial system is equipped to deal with such family problems. The longer it takes to resolve, the worse it becomes. We need to move on from a fault-based theory to a mediator-based theory. Our family law has to be completely reformed." Before we proceed any further, let's listen in.
Honestly, we don't know the truth of what happened. You have on the one hand the suicide note which has been widely reported in the media. You also have the complaint by the wife which has also been reported in the media. And, particularly when human relations are involved, as in the case of a spousal conflict, it's very difficult for us sitting, in the course of a platform like this to actually deduce as to what happened between them at that particular point of time. Very often in personal relationships, including spousal relationships, the conflict is not between right and wrong. It's a conflict sometimes between right and right. It's sometimes a conflict between wrong and wrong. And I don't think that our judicial system today is equipped to deal with these issues of family conflict. The longer it takes to resolve their disputes, the worse it becomes. Because then they start washing all the dirty linen, they tend to rope in each other's relatives, and then there's a point of no return which is reached for spouses. We have to really completely alter the structure of judicial decision-making, particularly in the context of family law. And we have to move away from a fault-based theory into a more mediative approach to resolving family disputes. But that's, of course, a very serious issue which has to be debated upon. But I believe that, our family law today has to be completely reworked in terms of its procedural underpinnings.
And while many around us have turned so-called judges in public discourse, the Supreme Court, while it was hearing a challenge against a Gujarat High Court order that refused relief to a man and his family accused of abetting his wife's suicide, made an important statement. Mere harassment is not sufficient to hold someone guilty of abetment to suicide, adding that there must be evidence of direct or indirect incitement for conviction in such cases. But nothing takes away from a fact that's now fast emerging in public domain of how hard, ugly, bitter, often brutal and unregulated the whole battle for not just divorce but alimony and maintenance can really turn into. And here's where Supreme Court's reiteration of an 8-pointer to determine alimony emerges as an important reminder. But that's just one part of the larger picture.